All right, happy Monday, May 10th, 2021. We're going to continue to use our imagination. Hey, that's the key to most learning, isn't it? If we're imagining it, we're remembering it. And if we're connecting with the people in the story or in the article we're reading, we're going to remember it that much more. So it's really important. We're going to read the article using our imagination, connect with the people being interviewed to better understand their points of view and the article as a whole. And for our close, well, how was your Mother's Day? How did things go? Did you get to visit with mom, with grandma, maybe other relatives you haven't seen in a while? A lot of people have gotten their COVID vaccinations now, so they're having more family get-togethers, which I think is a very, very, very good thing. And it's going to be interesting to read about that here in just a little bit. Before we do anything else, come on, let's do our positive affirmations. I need them today. Carvajal is feeling very negative, and it's okay to feel that way, right? But I ain't going to let that stop me. So come on, let's do them together. Let me see that thumb up. What are you? I am strong, confident, and successful. Yes, we are. And let's grab that barbell. How do you feel about getting work done? I love getting work done. Yep, feels good, doesn't it? And how do I feel about schoolwork? The harder I work, the stronger I become. And a little silliness, because it's a Monday, might as well. Hey, where do you take somebody who's been injured in a peekaboo accident? What do you think? Where do you take somebody who's been injured in a peekaboo accident? You take them to the ICU. Get it? ICU. Take them to the ICU, peekaboo accident. Yep, that's hilarious, I know. All right, so happy Monday. If we go into, I don't even have it open. Yep, week 8. Graded assignment, Monday's work. You see our discussion question. How was your Mother's Day? Let me know how things went for you, how everything's going. We have our reading for today. Those of us live in the classroom, you have it on paper if you want to use that, or you can do it on the computer, it doesn't matter. And I like this for several reasons. You know, this is not earth-shattering. There's not explosions. People aren't dying. This is just daily stuff that people are getting through. And like I said, after a sad Mother's Day 2020, vaccines offer sweet reunions this year. A lot of people, I know people, my own parents, my wife's parents have passed away, but friends, family friends, you know, a good friend of my wife's mother has been alone basically since COVID hit in March of last year because nobody wants to give her COVID. So she lives alone all by herself in her house. Her kids stop by and drop off her groceries in the garage and they leave. You know, they don't talk face to face because they don't want to get her sick. She's in her 80s. And that just makes everything difficult for everybody. So as we read these stories, you want to think about, you know, who are my relatives that are older and lonely. And I know sometimes it's hard to talk to your older relatives. I had a hard time talking to my great grandmother and my grandmother. And, you know, you're better off for taking that time, making the effort, asking them how they're doing, not waiting for them to ask you how you're doing, and actually listen and talk to them. And the older generations have so many stories and so much wisdom. It's just a great thing to get to know them before it's too late. Trust me, it will be too late at some point if it's not already. So we're going to start reading here in just a minute. And after that, there's a quiz, 4 questions to get 100, get all 4 of them right. And this will be one of those replacement grades. So if you have a 0 way back in an early discussion or some other daily grade, message me, and as long as you pass this, I'll replace one of those zeros with an 80. But just message me and let me know that you want it done. All right, so let's go ahead and read. And let's pay attention. So if you're playing on your phone, if you're playing a video game, stop, suffer, focus on what we're doing. So you can get a good grade on this quiz. And once again, if you need to, we can replace that 0 with an 80 if you do decent on this. All right, let's get started. After sad Mother's Day 2020, vaccines offer sweet reunions this year. And here is a old lady and her son. Let's find out about them. Leland Stein takes a photo with his mother, Sandra Green, in her apartment, New York City, April 26, 2018. So this is kind of an old photo. The two reuniting in person for Mother's Day as vaccinations have made families feel more comfortable gathering for the holiday. And this is by Leanne Itali, Associated Press. This came out May 7th, just a while back. New York, New York. When Leland Stein heads to his 93-year-old mother's senior living facility for Mother's Day, he'll have flowers in hand and a year's worth of hugs. I miss Leland's visits very much, said Sandra Green, a retired Vassar College drama professor who counts Meryl Streep among her former students. I'm just very grateful for his presence. Many moms, grandmothers, and their offspring around the country will be equally thrilled. They were forced to hold off on the physical joys of Mother's Day last year amid pandemic fears and restrictions. This time around, vaccinations and abiding by post-shot waiting periods have brought more security and comfort to bring on the hugs and kisses for sweet in-person and indoor reunions. Of course, not everyone will feel that joy. There are those mourning for mothers lost to COVID-19, and others who are refraining from socializing in person until they, too, can get vaccinated. During the pandemic, the 64-year-old Stein and his elegant mom have met just once, about 6 months ago outside of her Brookdale senior living location in downtown Manhattan. He couldn't keep away, particularly since Green lost her husband just months before the pandemic took hold. But it was a long trip from his home in Arlington, Massachusetts, for a brief visit on the lawn. And if y'all have done that, driving all the way to grandma's house or driving to an aunt's house just to be able to, kind of wave at him from the porch, it's no fun to do that. Green's 3 other sons live in the West, too far to make a Mother's Day trip. Stein, too, has been feeling the separation and the sting of isolation. At the start of the pandemic in mid-March 2020, the performance space he manages, the Regent Theater in Arlington, was shut down as the world headed into emergency mode. And a lot of you probably know, family members were not able to keep jobs, right? Because everything was closing. It was terrible. It was Friday the 13th, he recalled. We had a sold-out show at the theater, and the rug was pulled out from under us. I had just lost a relationship, so I also lost my relationship, my community, my family. That was a lot to deal with, and I have to say, having my mom still around was very helpful. My mom was cool, calm, and collected. Raising 4 boys, Green joked, you have to stay calm. Heather Krug, 49 in Los Angeles, hasn't seen her extrovert of a mother, Brenda Krug, in a year and a half. Brenda, too, lives in a senior living community on the other side of the country in the Long Island hamlet of Woodbury, New York. She's been pretty much without family throughout this, said Krug, who has a sister in the Boston area. I knew as soon as I was able to get the vaccine, I would feel more comfortable about flying, but also that I wouldn't be bringing COVID to her or anybody in her community. It's been pretty tough. The two will mark Mother's Day and the 81-year-old Brenda's June birthday at the same time. And bonus, Heather will meet Brenda's boyfriend for the first time after Heather's dad died a couple of years ago. Can you imagine having a new boyfriend at the age of 81? That's kind of funny. They met during COVID, which is a good thing because it kept her spirits up. It's the first person she's dated since my father passed, Heather said. I'm sure she has a list of things she needs me to do. One is get her on Zoom, because that's been an issue, but she's handling everything much better than me. Krug's sister managed a 2-hour rendezvous with their mom over the summer for a restaurant meal outdoors, but she has also kept her distance to be safe. A high school friend of Heather's on Long Island assisted Brenda, who still works as an interior designer, when she came down with COVID-19 and the chaotic early days of the pandemic. Brenda, who is also missing her recently departed dog, was excited for her up-close Mother's Day. I only saw my girls and grandchildren on FaceTime. It's not the same, she said. We're definitely a hugging kind of family. Maricela Waugh, a 30-something relationship consultant in Los Angeles, known professionally as Spicy Mari, has a huge Mother's Day surprise for her mom, Marta. Marta, who has been on the job in San Diego as an essential worker for FedEx throughout the pandemic, has wanted a grandchild for years. She's about to get her wish. Waugh is pregnant. She's going to be flabbergasted, said Waugh, the oldest of 3 siblings, and the first to be expanding her family. It's the ultimate gift, Waugh said. We're extremely close. I tell my mother everything, and it's been really hard because I don't really know what to do. I've been asking her a lot of hypothetical questions like, When did you start getting stretch marks? The two haven't seen each other since last April when they got together for a quick meal out. We've done a few FaceTimes, and only from the chest up as this baby bump has grown. But she's been like, oh, you must be gaining the quarantine 15, Wah said. One thing's for certain, she said, I know she's going to cry. My mom is such a crier. Can you imagine just like keeping that a secret from your mom until you can see her in person? That's got to be difficult. Mari, who has chosen not to get vaccinated during her pregnancy, plans a brunch outdoors at a Malibu restaurant with mom and other vaccinated loved ones to announce her son's upcoming arrival. I've missed everyone, so I'm super excited to bring everyone together for Mother's Day, she said. For months, the pandemic kept Janice Shear, 67, from her 41-year-old daughter Meredith, who has Down syndrome and lives just 15 miles away in a group home run by the nonprofit AHRC Nassau in Rockville Center, New York. That's how I feel with my son Aaron in a group home. We only seen him a couple of times. Meredith's 40th birthday party, with more than 100 guests, was canceled in March last year, and the home barred visitors, while Janice's senior living community asked residents to isolate. Janet would make drive-by visits in the car and wave, rather than their usual twice-a-week visits and weekends home for Meredith pre-pandemic. Last July, restrictions loosened slightly, and they managed regular meetups. Now both are vaccinated along with other family members. They plan a Mother's Day barbecue at the nearby home of Meredith's sister and her family. Last year, it was sad. Meredith was my first child. She made me a mother, and pulling up in my car and just seeing her on the front step and then driving away, it was hard, Janice said. Mother's Day came early for Vanessa Gordon, Sag Harbor, New York mom of a 3-year-old son and a 7-year-old daughter. Gordon, 32, and her husband have been vaccinated, along with their 87-year-old grandmother and an aunt. She hasn't seen her grandmother in 3 years, so decided on a trip to the Villages near Orlando, Florida, to combine her husband's birthday, Mother's Day, and Easter on March 28th. Gordon sees her mother regularly. She was not fully vaccinated and did not make the trip. The group dined out at a country club and caught up with some old friends, all of whom had been vaccinated. They visited Disney World, organized Easter baskets for the kids, baked a birthday cake, and cooked meals together. I was thrilled, Gordon said. It was wonderful. When you don't see somebody for such a long time, it's almost as if time never went by. That 3 years, in a way, disappeared. All right, so it's just different stories of different regular people, right? Maybe you can't relate to all of them, but if you're thinking about it, you could probably relate to some of them. And that's going to make it easier to get these questions right. It's not a regular article, right? There's not like a specific thing said that's like the main idea. But overall, think about it. What is the main idea of this article? If you stop and think about that before you take the quiz, you're going to be much better off and more likely to get the answers right. So once you're done with the reading, those of us, you can do it on paper. Answer it here. If you're on Zoom, just click on Mother's Day Reading Quiz, answer the 4 questions, and you will be done. And then let me know, how did Mother's Day go for you? And I'll be interested to find out how everything went and what you did. All right, that's what we got going on for today. If you need any help, be sure and let me know.